Yes, and today we're talking about fighting in front of your kids. What are some taboo, maybe words or topics that your children should never hear, even though you as parents are upset? And of course, today in virtual studio, we have the pleasure of having again family coach or family counselor Rose Mbaye with us. So welcome, Rose.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Yes, there are things that are taboos, Africans and taboos. We are the keeper of taboos as usual. And we need to know that there are things that our kids should never see or hear when we are fighting. When an African man or a woman hear about fights, they think it's about mangumi. No. Here we are talking about how are you supposed to communicate? What are you supposed to say and when are you supposed to say it? For example, a child should never ever see a father or a man and a woman fight physically. It is bad. It affects a child. Again, when you're fighting, we need to have a healthy fight. What do I mean by healthy fight? We should make sure that we lower our anger impulses. As an African person or rather any human being, there's a tendency of you when you are talking in anger, you start raising your voice, you start hitting the tables. A child should never see this. Why? It affects their emotions. It makes them feel insecure because they see one of their parents is fighting and shouting. The other thing you should, when you're talking, organize your speeches. A child should never ever see you point at each other. A child should not see you actually saying, you are a bad woman, you are a bad man. Why? It affects them. They feel like maybe this is my favorite parent, and then my dad or my mom is pointing at them and abusing them. So please, when you are fighting as a couple or in a family, organize your ideas. By the way, it is very hard for you to go out of the way when you have organized your notes. If you know you can lose your anger very fast, just go and write your notes. Today, I want to address my spouse on 1, 2, 3. So anything that comes in between, you just need to forget about it. The next thing, you should not use the word I. Always use the word I statement. Never say you. Because each time you use the word you, again, it looks like you are fighting with the other person. And it becomes someone feels very insecure. So please never shout and say, you are the bad woman. You are the one who did. In case, instead of this, say, I felt misunderstood. I don't feel nice when this happens. So that one makes someone feel accommodated and a child feels safe. The other thing is always be very objective. Respond respectively. Even if you feel, I can say, as well, when someone who says, even if you feel like you want to call this spouse all names of all domestic animals, kindly maintain it. Just hold your breath. And you feel you are so angry, breathe in, breathe out, take coffee, take water, relax, read your magazine, then come back. Be objective. I'm here because I want to address 1, 2, 3, because I feel we need to talk about it. To say, you are the bad person. Yes. And always, as you say, as I conclude, always be on the lookout. When a child feels insecure, when you realize one child is running at one parent, when you realize one child is taking sight, when you realize a child is covering his ears, when you realize a child is actually crying, please get to know that this child feels unsafe. You should never allow your kids to go through that because you are damaging their cognition, you are damaging their relationship, and you're developing a very tough man. These people, by the end of the day, they retain, they take it, and they know how to handle their differences. So as parents in a family, always make sure and get to know this. The way you're handling your issues is the way these children will handle.
Okay, so what about children who've already experienced their parents fighting, be it physically or verbally? How do you advise them to heal from that trauma?
Oh, yes, that is why I'm here, the family coach. What happens, we take these children through a training. We teach them something we call life skills. We make them know whatever, despite of the situations that are happening around our family, you have a life. We make them refocus on their way. Because by the end of the day, we are not all in the same range. Some people, maybe they have seen drama. Some of them actually have had several of them working with them. We talk, we teach them something we call life skills. Know your boundaries. When you see your parents fight, get to know sometimes there's some things you don't have control over, but refocus on your progress of life. And again, we try to make them know you have your own decisions. Who do you want to become tomorrow? Would you want to become a better person? Yes, you need to be focused. But that is very true. If a child has gone through all this trauma, actually they go through a lot of trauma, and some of them regress. You realize the child was doing very well in class, but they can no longer do it because it really affects their cognition, their memories, the way they make decisions. Never blame a child that goes into drinking, maybe trances, maybe bullying, because this is what they see. We always say when you talk about children, man can see, man can do. Don't tell your child to become a better child and you don't model as a parent. You need to model. When there is differences, how do we go about it? This is how we solve. We sit down, we discuss, and we come with a solution. They learn by seeing. We saying they learn by modeling more than the way you tell them.
Let me ask you this, huh? Let's talk about the young adults or adults who become what their parents were when they were growing up. Someone saw their parent was beating, maybe the dad was beating the mom, maybe the mom was very abusive to the dad, and then that's what they turned out to be. In such cases, what is your advice to such people in such relationships or such couples?
Oh, yes. Awesome. This is exactly what is happening. We believe in a theory called psychoanalytic. As a child grows between 0 to 11 years, actually 0 to around 7, 8 years, they have formed their personality. Most of them, they have seen what happened. A child will see and they retain. We call it through retention. Once you retain something, when it comes, you are able to take something in store. You retain from the subconscious and now bring it to the conscious. So some of these people, they realize themselves they're already cheating. Some of them are already abusive. Some of them are already abusing drugs, just like their dad, just like their mom. So what happens, we teach these people. During premarital counseling, you realize this is what happened in your family. And this is the time you talk with this person, you tell them, okay, fine. Who do you want to become in your family? And they'll tell you, I really wish to become a responsible man, but then I just found myself drinking. And that is how we realize when we want to see a behavior, we want to look at where did this behavior come from. And most of them, you realize it's a behavior that was modeled. And this is the time we bring it to their awareness. This is exactly what happened when you are growing up. Is this what you want? Do you want a repeat of what you saw? And someone will tell you, I hated to see my dad always being raided on because my mom had to go look for him. Is this what you want? No. Okay, now we go through a session of behavior change. We say any behavior that is learned, it can be unlearned and a new behavior can be relearned. So it is kind of a training we do so that people can be able to know, yes, I adapted this. I found myself being a drunkard. Anyway, I didn't know, but yes, it's a behavior you learn unconsciously, yes. But then you can unlearn and we can train you. You can train yourself to have a new behavior that is more pleasing and more focused than whatever you're doing.
And I think I'm the only parent here, but as a parent, I want to do better for my children, and probably I could be in a heated argument, of course, with maybe as a parent. I'm speaking for other people because we never argue with my husband in front of the kids, but just in case they walked in, you've talked about how the kids you can make the kids understand, but what can the parents do in the heat of the moment when the child has just walked in and found an argument happening? What can they?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, because yes, it happens. At times kids have a way of, I want to tell you one thing. At times we try as parents, we try to show like all is okay. But then kids have a way of even looking at you. They can tell, Mommy, Leo and Dad, things are not okay. And by the way, they can, some of them can even whisper at each other. But then what they can do, when they walk in, as long as some meshikana mashati, that is the evidence. The rest, after you talk, look back to them, tell them, so-and-so, get to know this is life. And Daddy and Mommy are just discussing and we still love each other. You are safe. I reassure your kids that all is well. What are you trying to teach this child? In life, there are differences. In life, there are arguments. It is not what you're talking about. It is how do you resolve your issues. Reassure these kids, especially if they come and find you in a way, and they could tell the argument was not all solved. You can tell them, look at here, my son, growing up, this is how you resolve. You talk to each other, you resolve issues, and it is well. Me and daddy, we are okay. Me and mom, we are good. As in, they are growing. They know you're not angels. But in any way, as much as you're a human being, you're coming with issues. There are issues that come, yes, and you're able to resolve them and resolve them in a very nice way.
All right. Thank you so much, Rose. Very insightful as usual. It was a pleasure to have you again. Guys, I hope you learned a little bit of something because we all did, but we need to take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.